Welcome to this special bonus episode of the Passive House podcast. I'm Zach Semke, director of Passive House Accelerator, and we're pleased to be sharing a series of bonus episodes recorded at the International Passive House Conference 2023 in Wiesbaden, Germany. These interviews were made possible by support from Icon Windows and Doors, Inotech Windows and Doors, Intelligent Membranes, Minitaire, and Proclima. Please enjoy this bonus episode.
Welcome to the Passive House Accelerator podcast, and this is Anne Vogt from VAND arquitectura in Madrid.
Yes, thank you very much.
And you've been working, you've been in practice now for a long time doing Passive House. How long?
Well, we began in 2007, 2008 to work with a Passive House concept. And it was quite difficult to find construction companies to build the buildings. So then, although we are architects, we began to do courses for tradesperson and designer, Passive House designers. So since some years already.
And lately your firm has been involved in the outfit program for deep energy retrofits. Can you talk about that a little bit, what you've been doing?
Yes, that's a European project. We are now finishing. It was a project for 3 years. And the idea is to study retrofit projects which are prefabricated. And so the time on site is much less than on a normal retrofit building site, which is a big problem mostly for the occupants. And we prefer to do it prefabricated, so very quick and faster, and then just bring it to the construction site.
So in Spain, how many of the outfit projects are there?
Well, we have some observer projects. We are only observing, and some case studies. So we have in one observer project which is in Madrid, and case studies which are in Teruel in the north and in Pamplona in the western part of Spain.
And so are they all almost done with construction, all those projects? Are they still in construction?
We are still in construction. So we had a very good case in Teruel because we already did some years ago a retrofit of the same building because it was copied several times. So we could do monitoring to buildings without retrofit, which are occupied with a Passive House retrofit. And now with the new retrofit we are doing right now. So it was really, really interesting. So I think we will be some months more than the European project monitoring these projects just to be sure to know how they live in summer and in winter.
And were you able to use prefabricated components in that case study?
Well, it was a bit difficult. We tried to work to speak to different companies to do it prefabricated. And it was in parts, it could be prefabricated, but not in total, not as much as we preferred. Like the project we know from the Netherlands or from Germany, we couldn't prefabricate so much because the industry in Spain is not prepared for retrofit and prefabrication.
Because there are prefabricated components for new construction, but not for retrofit. Yeah?
Yes, that's the problem. And the big problem is the balconies and all these elements we have at the outside. It's really difficult. And another case is that in Spain, the materials are expensive, and the work of the people is not so expensive. So it's not as important as in northern countries where the materials is more expensive in comparison with the craftsmen.
And so, what how did you end up retrofitting? It was from the exterior, for instance, in this one case study. And where did you say it was? Selman?
Sorry?
Where was it?
In Teruel
Teruel.
and Pamplona.
Uh-huh. So how was the retrofit? These were all from the exterior, right?
Yes, we are trying to do everything from the outside except the ventilation, because the ventilation, although we have interesting case studies from Austria, from one of the partners of Outfit, which is Neue Heimat Tirol, which is a promoter of houses. They do, including the ventilation from outside. So they have in the last floor, they have the ventilation unit, and they have all the ducts in the insulation from outside, and they just go inside in every room. So in Spain, we couldn't do this kind of projects for the ventilation. We try to do nearly everything from outside, but the ventilation is from inside.
So what kind of insulation materials did you put on the outside? And how did you attach them?
Well, the typical insulation, like the EPS, I think all of them are EPS insulation, and with the glue of the IPHC system.
And installing the ventilation system, were there challenges to make them fit in the existing structure?
Well, in Spain, we have a false ceiling nearly in all the rooms, so it's not so much an issue. But you have to distract the false ceiling and then rebuild it again. So the most challenging thing, I think, was the time to do it as fast as possible for the occupants. Because all the projects are social housing, except the one in Madrid, the Observer project. So people live inside, so they cannot go anywhere else because they live there.
And what's your what energy performance reduction are you aiming for?
NFIT standard.
Oh, you're aiming for the
NFIT standard.
For
yes.
all of them?
Yes.
Even the Observer project also?
Yes, the Observer project fulfills the NFIT standard. We will issue the certification very soon. The problem is we didn't get on time with this project. Sometimes projects are slower than the beginning of the European project. So that's why it's not an Observer project. And we thought it was more interesting social housing than a normal apartment flat. It's like 21 flats in Madrid, but I think social housing is more interesting, because I think the most important thing when you do a retrofit like this is not to do a halfway retrofitting, because if you do half the installation which is necessary to be a passive house or a nearly zero energy building, in 40 or 50 years, it won't be cost efficient to do it a passive house or an NFIT project. So I think that's really important. The concept of Energiesprong, which was like a little bit of the origin of the Outfit project, to give a big jump from retrofitting, from the normal building to the retrofit. If you don't do it with passive house standard, that's the big mistake, because then you disable in the future that this building can be a nearly zero energy building.
Well, it's interesting to do a variety of building types, though. I mean, because social housing, I don't know if this is true in Spain also, but in the United States tends to be a little bit more uniform structure. And maybe a market rate building might be a little more complicated to do. So it's interesting to see it proved on two different types of buildings. Yeah, did the market rate one have different issues to it?
Yeah, well, it would have been interesting. It would have been interesting to have 100 projects more, but we couldn't have so many projects. And in Spain, we didn't have different types of projects. But for example, in France, we had one project which was a hospital, So we were working on different types of buildings, but in Spain, all were social housing.
And in your own firm, you work on different types of buildings, though, yes?
Yes, we do. We work mainly in residential buildings, but we do every type of buildings, including olive oil mills with Passivhaus standard.
And where was the olive oil mill?
In the south of Spain, in Extremadura, near Mérida, which is a known city in Spain.
So was that challenging?
It was really challenging because it was in 2008, I guess. So we didn't have all the materials, and it was really challenging. And we had very little time.
So, but 2008 was quite a while ago. By now, is Passivhaus more recognized in Madrid? Is it more familiar? Are there sufficient tradespeople to do Passivhaus?
Well, sufficient tradespeople, I think we need much more, and we need much more architects to know about Passivhaus. But I think it's much more known. There's a company in Madrid who does social housing, which are now quite interested. They asked in 4 buildings for Passivhaus standard in their last competition. We were working in one of them, just close to where we worked before. And we are now working on at the president's residence in La Moncloa. One of the buildings for the vice president is being an NFIT retrofit.
Really?
So yesterday we just had another meeting, and we did the demolition, and it will be an NFIT building by components. By energy is not possible because of the orientation. All the facade is the same. The north and the south facade is all the same, but it will be an NFIT certification by components.
So that's sure to give a boost to
Hopefully.
That's great. Congratulations on that. And is Passivhaus being combined with renewables in Spain? Is that a trend?
Yes, we didn't do so much Passivhaus Plus or premium certifications, but we do. And yes, I think now with the cost of electricity, everyone is thinking on renewables, not only on energy efficiency, but also on renewables. I think there are lots of projects going on now.
Well, we'll have to do an article on the retrofit of the Vice.
But I think we have 6 months left to finish the construction site. So
that's very exciting. And your company has grown. Yes, you've expanded in recent years.
Yes, we have 2 companies. We have VAND Arquitectura for the certification and for the architectural projects, and we have another company for the courses, tradesperson, designer courses. So yes, we are growing, and we have a lot of persons who work with us in all over Spain. For example, to do the courses on the islands or in the north or in the south, we have collaborators for the courses.
So in the islands, I would think that in those islands, because the climate is so gentle, that it would be hard to interest people in Passivhaus.
It's not so gentle. Normally it's gentle because you go in spring or autumn, but the winter can be hard too. So it's very interesting because on the islands, it's very easy to fulfill the Passivhaus standard by the demand, because with little insulation you can do it, but the heat load is not so easy to fulfill. It's really interesting because there are some colder weeks. So it's really interesting to work on the islands. On the coast, similar.
Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for talking with us, and I look forward to hearing more about Vice President's House and the other projects you're working on.
Yes, thanks a lot to you.